20 years ago this Saturday, Linkin Park dropped an album that showed they weren't just a flash-in-the-pan new metal act by expanding on that album's sounds in some pretty monumental ways, in my opinion, and making what I would argue is their best album, Meteora. And to celebrate that album's anniversary, I am going to be ranking the track listing from worst to best and telling you all why. It's an album that was fundamental in forming aspects of my music taste and would also be a source of inspiration for me during the early periods of my songwriting when I was getting into doing, making music, It's an album that really resonated with me, and I still look upon, very fondly. I figured it would be a fun way to reflect on what I would consider a classic. Thank you all so very much for watching. Give it a like if you're excited. Let's go ahead and dive on in. This is a 13-second intro song. This is a 2-minute and 23-second instrumental song. No, but to actually talk a bit more about Session, because I think that it is more than just an instrumental cut, I think it's a testament to Linkin Park's musicianship a bit more than their contemporaries in certain aspects, because, instrumental tracks I don't think were that common for this era, this genre, because the bands, while talented, aren't as complex as like a prog band who typically did instrumental cuts were. But I like that Linkin Park used their aesthetic to their advantage, that digital-ass soundscape that they were pretty much like championing during this era. The glitchy, stuttery stuff in the percussion, the turntablisms, the ambience on here. It's a nice, break from a lot of the angst and aggression that the album had going on. It's a nice penultimate break before one more banger drops in the last song. I enjoy Session. While it is this low, it's not a bad song by any stretch of the imagination. I do enjoy it a lot, actually. While it is the lowest ranked single in this video from the inside, it is not a bad song. It definitely, I understand why it was a single, because while the track feels kind of sparse and ambient in its verses with Mike's sort of suede flow that I don't hate, but I do think his flow is just better on other songs. The chorus of this song is colossal, and I think Chester sounds great on it. I think that it's a really well-written song as well. I think that the leads are pretty good. I think some of the riffage on other tracks I just like more than on From the Inside, and there's other components that I think other tracks utilize that could have been done on From the Inside to give it that same scope that a lot of the other singles had on this project. Like the strings on a track like Easier to Run could have also been brought in on here, or like a little more in the final chorus or something else to kind of give it a bit more going on as far as like comparatively to the other singles. It's still a really solid track on the album, but there is a reason why it is at this point, because it is pretty good, but the album does have a lot of better things going on. Now, is this song at this point because it was my mom's ringtone growing up? Not entirely, but I will say, similarly to From the Inside, as a single, I do really like Faint. I like the flow work from Mike in the verses a lot better than from On the Inside. I think that the chorus is also colossal as hell. I love that digital-ass synth that's in the leads on this. I think that the drums on here are pretty nice and tight. The groove is kept intact. And I do like Chester on the track. I think the I Won't Be Ignored scream in the bridge of at the end of the bridge of the song is a great moment that the song builds to well. But I will say the build-ups and the bridges on other tracks I think are better than on Faint, again, comparatively speaking. I think that it's a good song. I can understand why it was a single, because it's colossal as hell. But again, there's just a lot of really good bangers on Meteora. One of the best things about Linkin Park is that they really found a way to just master that jump the fuck up energy. And Figure 9 is a great embodiment of that. An album cut ass song that has the same intensity and aggression from Mike and Chester that was seen on tracks from Hybrid Theory, like One Step Closer, and is again done better on other songs that I put above this in the ranking. But I think that Chester on the chorus of the song is fantastic. I think that the main riff of the song is also big as hell. I love the chopped up sample that kind of rings above the guitars as well. You know, honestly, one of the biggest knocks I could give to the song comparatively to other moments that are done better on the album, the breakdown on this song, I feel like is just a bit too short. I think it's better than the breakdown and bridge on Faint, but man, I think they could have just done a bit more. They could have let that rung out for a couple more bars, you know, because I think that it is really good. And I think that Chester and Mike on the bridge are fantastic, but it leaves me, it's a moment, one of the few moments on the album that do leave me wanting a bit more. And that's one of the things that put it in this point in the ranking. Easier to Run is a single that kind of shifts the palette of the album ever so slightly. You know, the strings, like I mentioned earlier in this video, on the end of this song to kind of give the end of it this even grander scope that the song builds to very, very well. You know, I like the loud, soft dynamic that the song does have going on better than other moments on the project that are below it. I think that Chester and Mike's harmonies are fantastic in the pre-chorus of it. You know, I like the overall atmosphere that the song shifts the album to. And while I don't wish there was more of it, I do like that they at least dance in this realm a little bit to give their sonic palette a little bit more of a morphing that was seen on tracks like Breaking the Habit. I love the glitchy sounds amidst the soundscape of Hit the Floor. I think that the riff on this song is beefy as fuck. Again, they just knew how to write bangers. They knew how to make you jump the fuck up. And I think that Mike's flow on this track is really fucking tight. You know, as a guy who, again, one of his early introductions into hip-hop was Linkin Park, I think that Mike's really tight flow on here was really nice to hear. And I think that the trade-off in the chorus between Mike and Chester is just done masterfully. Chester sounds fucking raw as hell on the chorus of this song, and I think that Mike's vocal layering does a good job to match that intensity. You know, I think that this is kind of, again, similarly to tracks like Figure 9, just a good evolution of Hybrid Theory sound into a realm that kind of teeters on adolescent, I could see somebody saying, but I think does a good job at standing above some of the adolescence from Hybrid Theory, personally. Part of me almost put Numb lower than this in the list because while I like the song a lot, I think that it was a song that I kind of heard maybe a little too much growing up. My mom really liked this song. I listened to this album a lot growing up with my mom because she really liked Linkin Park, you know, and she really loved this album. It was something that we spun a lot when we lived in Mississippi. Similarly to Faint, this is a song that she just kind of had on heavy rotation, and I like the song. I love the lead synths. That's a big reason why it is still at this point in the ranking. And I like the sentiment of the song, given some of my own sort of growth and reflections on myself. I can kind of relate to some of the lyrics on here for fucking sure. And I think that as far as like tapping into that adolescent disenfranchisement, but sort of putting it into a different scope that evolves from Hybrid Theory, Numb is a great execution of that. And it's a great closing song. It's a banger to close this album out on. And I think that it's a good showstopper that is worth a lot of the praise that it has seen. And if we're talking about great colossal ass singles that tap into that disenfranchisement, oh so perfectly, Somewhere I Belong does so very well. The chorus of the song, I want to heal, I want to feel what I thought was never real. I want to let go of the pain I've held for so long. Come on, dude. That's incredible. That's so potently resonant. The leads on this song, great. Again, that those ambient synths with that kind of chopped up drums, chopped up electronic drums, really great touch. I love the digital texturing on Meteora above Hybrid Theories, and tracks like Somewhere I Belong and some of the ones I've already praised are reasons as to why. I think that it is, again, just a well-written song. It is a catchy-ass song for as wordy as its chorus is. It is still very infectious, and I love it for that. It's easily a song that I could see somebody ranking higher than me, and I would totally understand why. It's a classic Linkin Park song. If we're talking like best foot forward type tracks, Don't Stay is an embodiment of that. Starting the record off on a bit of an energetic foot with the stomping riff and a nice build up throughout the bridge. It's got some good moments that put the listener in a nice angsty state. It's a good moment to sort of pick up where they left off with their aggressive tendencies, which I think is good on a record that takes a lot of that and inverts it and subdues it in certain aspects. I think it was smart to start it on at least a banger, because there are still some here, but Don't Stay is definitely still one of the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, this song's called Nobody's Listening. You can help us out.
I think the one moment on this track that I would remove is that guitar riff, that like chugging guitar riff. And I know that that would make it less of like a Linkin Park song to some people, but like, it doesn't need it. It's a really nice beat. I love the beat of this song. And again, Mike Shinoda's influence on hip-hop, I feel like, should not ever be overlooked. This is a point for him to really have more of a hip-hop leaning track. He took it, he ran with it. Chester is great in the chorus as well. And I know that some could say that like without the guitar, his aggressive vocals may sound a little weird. I don't think that's the case, but I think that it's a good sort of late album cut to add a nice curveball before the record throttles into the sunset. You know what I mean?
You ready? All right, let's do this, people. Come on.
If I were to ever do a top 10 Linkin Park songs, which I really couldn't after this video, but if I were, this would also be on there, because it is one of the best songs in the genre. I love that sample in the beginning, and I love that it sort of sets a precedent. There's gonna be some real sudden denseness dropped on you. The drop in this song is like top 3 nu metal drops in the genre. The guitars sound like a skyscraper being dropped on you. It's incredible. Mike sounds great in the verses. Chester sounds great in the chorus. The chorus is super catchy and gargantuan, lying from you, wanting to be pushed aside. It's a really good song. The bridge, again, coming in just right after the second chorus, just hits like a skyscraper again. The best breakdown on the album. Again, one of the best breakdowns in the genre. Chester and Mike's layered vocals over, while it's wordy, it's just infectious. This isn't who I wanted to be. I never thought that what I said would have you running from me like this. That's just like, it's great. It's a great moment. One of the best songs they've ever written. And an incredible jam. Breaking the Habit is my favorite Linkin Park song. That's why I can never do, because it's this. While Mike isn't on it rapping, the melody, the ambient synths, the glitchy texturing, the guitar leads, Chester's vocals are incredible. The writing really puts the listener in an addict's POV. You know, it's just a really well-written song by this band that showed that they weren't just this bunch of angsty teens letting out aggression. They had problems. They had things they were going through and were trying to transcend. Especially given, you know, what happened with Chester, it makes the song all the more tough. It's a really hard time. But it's a great song with a catchy-ass chorus. And easily the best song on Meteora. I really hated my outro for this video. It was absolute ass cheeks. Watching it back, I'm disgusted. I sound dead inside, and it's gross. I think I was hung up so much on how hard Breaking the Habit hits now. But that was my Meteora ranking the songs. How would you rank the songs? Let me know in the comments down below. My buddy John is doing the same thing on his channel at ARTV. See how our lists differ. You know? See whose is better. Sound that off as well. Give this video a like if you liked it. Celebrate Meteora. Listen to it. It's like a pocket project. It's so ahead of its time. It's so in and out, it's insane. Should be serving those burgers, you know? I don't know. Thanks for watching. If you like this, give it a like, subscribe. I drop 2 to 4 vids a week, depending on how I'm feeling. And, I'm gonna skedaddle. You guys have good days, lives, and situations, and I'll see you another day. I dropped my phone. I've been picking up with my foot.